Okay, so today I'm going to be going through a fairly basic grid nav question, which is on the question bank. For this question we've been given the position of point A, which is at 75 north and 10 west, as I've put in the description, and the true track from that point is 80 degrees, and it wants to know what the grid track is when passing the meridian at 50 degrees east. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take our square protractor and place it on the paper. I use lined paper for this, which you'll see comes in quite handy later on. I find if you're in a position like this where you're trying to get your head around these and you're doing a lot of them, you're probably best off using lined paper because it just speeds up the process a little bit. So place your square protractor on the paper and line it up with the lines of the paper. Mark a dot in the centre of your square protractor. If you don't have a hole there, just mark a dot before you put the square protractor down and put the square protractor on top. And also mark a dot or a line where north lies. Okay, we now take our square protractor away. We see we've got two dots there. What you want to do is take your compass. I find these ones work best, the ones where you can set the distance in them, just because they don't move, which is ideal. You place it on the centre dot and just draw a circle around that point. Okay, now that circle can be as big as you want it to be, so long as it doesn't go outside the boundaries of your square protractor, as you can see here. It's easier if you get it as close as possible to the edge of it, just makes it a little bit more accurate, but if you go outside it begins to get less accurate and it's not as easy to work out. Okay, so we've got those points now. Now we know we're working, the question says we're at 75 north, so we know that this point here is the North Pole. Okay, so I'll just annotate that for you. And the way I remember to draw on the meridian and the anti-meridian is that if you're in the North Pole, the meridian is closest to you. If you're in the anti-meridian is furthest away from you. From the South Pole, the meridian is furthest away from you and the anti-meridian is closest to you. So we're in the North Pole, so the meridian is between here and here. So I'm going to mark that on now. So I'll just line my square protractor up with the centre dot and the north dot there and draw a solid line between me and the North Pole. So that is our meridian. I'll also mark on the anti-meridian. It's not essential for this question, but it's good practice. Either use a different coloured pen or a dashed line like I'm doing, just so you know the difference between the two. Okay, so those two are marked on now. So again, this is the meridian, this is the anti-meridian here. What we're now going to mark on is our east and our west. Now these don't change, okay, so the east is always on the right hand side, and the west is always on the left hand side, and these don't change regardless of whether that's the South Pole or the North Pole. They'll always be there. We'll also mark on our grid north, which is here. Okay. Okay, so now that we've marked all of those on, this is our basic setup. This is essential. If you get these two wrong, the question won't work, okay? What we'll do now is that we know that our point A is at 75 degrees north and 10 west. Okay, so this entire picture is at 75 degrees north. We'll mark that on as well. So you can almost forget that if you want to. It's irrelevant now. Now the 10 west that we'll measure, we always measure it from the meridian. Okay, so the meridian's here. We want to go 10 degrees to the west of our meridian, which will be about here. But what we'll do is we'll place the protractor over the top of that. Line it up with grid north again, or line it up with your meridian and your anti-meridian, and mark where 10 degrees lies. Okay. We will now draw a straight line between the North Pole and that point, and that is our 10 degree west line. I'll annotate that as well. 10 degrees west, as you can see there. What I'll also do is just mark a point where that line intercepts the circle, and we know this point is now point A, as stated in the question, so I'll just mark an A next to that. Okay, now what we'll do is mark our 50 degrees east. So again, same principle, it's measured from the meridian, so we'll go 50 degrees around from here. Again, put your protractor on there and just measure 50 degrees, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, which is there. And again, a straight line between the North Pole and that point you put on there. extend this line out as far as you can, because you'll find later on we'll be working on this part of the page. Okay, and again I'll mark that in as 50 degrees east, as you can see there. Okay, so the question is asking us, what is our grid track when passing the meridian 50 east? Okay, so as it states, the true track of the straight line at A, which is this point here, is 80 degrees. So what we want to do is take our compass, line it up with our 10 degree west line. Okay, so not with grid north, which would be sat there, we want to line up with the 10 degrees west, which is there, and put our centre dot of the compass on point A, which is the point at which the 10 degrees west intercepts the circle. And then on our compass we go around to 80 degrees and mark it there. Okay, now draw a straight line between A and that point we have just marked, and take that out again as far as possible, because you're going to need that. Maybe a little bit further actually. To there. And then mark a dot where where our 50 degree east and our 80 degree line from 10 degrees west intersect, which is there. Okay. Now, what you want to do, the question is asking us, what is the grid track when passing the meridian 50 degrees east? Okay, so this is the point which they intercept. So you want to lay your compass down on that point and line it up with grid north. Okay, so this is where it comes in handy having lined paper, because instead of having to draw another line in, what we would do here is mark grid north, which is parallel to the meridians. We can just place it over and see that it actually lines up with the lines on the paper, which are obviously parallel. So the angle it's asking us for is this angle here. And as you can probably tell now, it's close enough to 90 degrees, and if we put our protractor on that, you will see, if you read off this number here, that it is 090 degrees. So our grid track is 090 degrees. Simple as that.